inside of the Saints. Loading.
You know, it is not just a case of physical attraction. I admire her mind, too.
What's up, everybody? It's your host DeJounte and your co-host,
Stephen Go.
and you are watching episode 2 of Insight of the Saints. Can we just clap it up? Word. So let's just clap it up, man. Like, let's just give it up for God. Let's just give it up just for Him just having us here to give you guys this word. So number one, let's start off with our shout outs. Number one, we gotta shout out God. Always gotta shout out the people that God are using, especially people who are helping in His vision. So we got Pastor Jack. If you're in the Mansfield area, please check out Walker Lake Baptist. It is one of the best church, if my opinion, the best church in Mansfield. What about you? Anybody want to shout out?
To everyone that's in our vicinity.
Yeah, and all of our supporters, all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, all the reposts. We also got our brand ambassador back there, Creston Winters. Say what's up.
What up?
That's crazy word. Now, that was not on purpose. I promise you. Trump, man, you cool. I ain't gonna problem with Trump, Biden, Camilla. I ain't go. So
It just hit 2 o'clock. So.
yeah, it just hit 2 o'clock. Hey, crazy word. That's crazy word.
That's a great clock, so we're
That's
going to be
a great-
expecting
that's a
that
crazy
now.
But we do have announcements. Give us our announcements, man. You know what we got going on for on the writing side.
For the writing side, there's a lot of revisions going through. So episode 1,
Not sponsored by the Wake Coke sponsor me. What's up?
yes. So the Whimpering Fool is going under the 5th revision. So it won't be out. Yes, it won't be out until next month or so. I'm planning to change my style of writing. This is going to be a definite style of writing. So everyone who is tuning in, be ready, because I have mastered and I don't second guess my work. And once it's done, it'll be done. After this 5th revision, or the 7th revision, it'll be ready.
That's good. Also, please like, comment, share, subscribe on all of our socials. Everything will be put in the link in the bio. And I was re-egging the last video, and I saw that I didn't tell y'all about myself. So just tell you about myself. I'm a college student. I own multiple businesses. I'm 6 foot. I'm handsome. I got the hair. Hey, I mean, they asked about me. I gotta say the truth.
That's
It'd
right.
be wrong if I didn't tell them. I'm like all these great qualities. So when they hear about all the things I done in my life that ain't up to par, they can give me grace because they remember I'm 6 foot, dark skin, handsome, and I believe and follow God. That's all you need to know. But besides that point, what do you got for me today?
In regards to the questions that were up to the topics.
We don't gotta fully just get into that, like anything. Like, what's been going on? How you been living, man? We ain't seen you in a little while.
That's right. So I made some trips to Tennessee.
Okay.
Things
How
have been
was
going well.
Tennessee?
Spent time with family,
Mm-hmm.
friends from the military. There's definitely a lot I wanted to spend more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I will make that a priority this year to do so.
Okay. Also, he did come out to 216. He came out to Cleveland. That's where I'm from. Also, he came out there, had his first Black Christmas. Clap it up. His first Black Christmas. So, how was the food? Like, how did you like it? Like, was it good? Like, I know it was
enjoyed
good,
it.
but was it good?
You were so kind. You hosted it wonderfully. I've felt welcome. I felt the love.
Mm-hmm. Always gotta show love.
And the food was incredible. They had so many choices to the point where there was about 4 or 5 of them that I couldn't catch up, and I had to take a full week's of food back home.
No, he did. I ain't gonna lie. We had everything: baked beans, collard greens, mac and cheese, greens, yams, like mac and cheese, rice, cornbread, dinner rolls,
Smoked
cakes, cookies,
ribs.
smoked ribs. We had it all. I ain't gonna lie. We was out there. We really do it big for Christmas. So anybody out there who ain't get a plate. Maybe next time you may get a plate. Also, comment what y'all had in Thanksgiving. Whether you white, black, Mexican, even the green bean casserole is accepted. I'll allow it this one video. It's Christmas. I'm in the mood of giving, so I'll allow it this one video. Just this once. You come in here with green bean casserole again, you're gonna leave. Respectfully. I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
that was my Christmas, and
How did you like Cleveland, man? Like, how was it?
it was great. There was not snow when I was there,
Yeah, it usually be snowing, but I don't know, something about God. He just really ain't been. Something
but we
about
saw
these
some
summers.
lights.
Yeah, we did see some lights downtown. No, the downtown lights was cool. Downtown lights was cool. We did get some hibachi too. That hibachi was fire. That
Yeah.
hibachi was fire.
I'm telling you, man, a lot of food that I couldn't consume, but
Yeah,
that was very abundant of God to
facts.
bless us.
He definitely did bless us. But now that we got that out the way, we can get into the good part. What everybody been waiting
And that's it's going to be for this episode.
for.
And yeah, I do have a lot of questions in regards to that topic.
Hit me, I'm ready.
Absolutely. So the topic is going to be um, in regards to
Are you wasting time?
at least that's the thing with time.
Mhm.
I was meditating on that throughout driving over here
Mhm.
and making those trips back and forth.
Yeah, he
before
made
the
like
prayer.
6 trips. He had forgot like everything. At this point, I was just gonna boot up with the camera and the mics and be like, "This is all we got." But luckily he got it all.
Okay. So many people view time as a tool.
Mhm.
When I talked about this,
Mhm.
especially in the Whimpering Fool, is that we can get fretful
Yeah.
at times as we choose to make it a big deal.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts in regards to how should a saint handle time?
Okay. Well, for most part, I was definitely watching Pastor Jack today. He preached one great sermon. I actually just got off of church. I had to be filled so I could refill. You feel me? You got to know your sources. We're gonna get into that another day. But he was talking about time and not wasting it. He used a story of Joseph. How Joseph didn't waste his time. He started young and he was just really in the Word with God. But God took me to another place. And I was watching this guy on YouTube a while ago. His name's Prophet Lovey. Very, very good. And he talked about how how Israel spent 40 years in a place that they were only supposed to be for a week, and how now they're reaping the the damage that they sowed into themselves because they're fighting over the same place that God had ordained for them. Now I want you to think about this. Imagine if they took full advantage in those in that week of what God was trying to do. Do you think they would be dealing with the problems they have today? No. They allowed somebody for 40 years to establish authority, a sense of connection to a place that was theirs. They're not going to just take that back from that person. They're going to fight for it. Now, yes, there were people there before that, but you got to think they established 40 years of their customs, their culture, their ways. They have 40 years of a claim to a place you didn't even know about. I mean, that's a pretty big claim. 40 years is a lot of time, especially when our life is only but a vapor. So somebody had 40 years to claim a place that's for you. I don't think it would be so easy to give it up. But it just shows you how our version of time is so minimal to God's. Because He's thinking long term. We think, well, I don't know, maybe not right now. I don't feel like doing that. So I feel like a saint should view time in a way that's productive in the purpose that God has for them. They should be, diligently seeking God and daily and like actively as best as they can to see where God wants them in this moment. Because where God wants you, He has everything for you. The wife, the job, the house, the car, wherever you searching for, wherever you hoping for, God has it.
The
He just
pleasures.
needs you to be in that place because that place has so much there.
That's also one thing I wanted to mention.
Mhm.
Many people think that I've seen this from the other spectrum where people are tired, exhausted, weary,
Mhm.
they believe that where they're in their current situation in that quote unquote time frame, it's miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
I would say it's because a lot of times we don't understand. So back to Exodus, right? When they were there, they were miserable. They complained all the time, not knowing that that was only for a minimal part of their life, just because God had a setup. Sometimes we'll be in a place of purpose, and because it doesn't look like how we envisioned it, and because it doesn't feed what God's trying to kill in us at that time, we're discontent in that season.
Mm.
So sometimes we gotta understand that our discontentment doesn't necessarily mean that God's hand is not over it. We just have to restructure our perspective.
Okay.
So it's like our perspective should be more on, okay, God, this situation isn't really the best in my eyes, but how do you see it? What are you setting me up for? Because think about it. In the wilderness when they spent 40 years there, God was preparing them for the land the whole time. And the whole point that he was preparing them for was depend on me. Because where he was taking them, he was fighting for them. He was making sure that they had everything they had. If you look at how when they went with Joshua to the land, God fought everybody for them. But it took them depending on him to do that. So he was trying to work in them a spirit of dependency on him, and they were still stuck in a place independent from him. Because that's all they known for 400 years. He was trying to break that. But they were so stubborn in their own ideologies and in their own, like knowledge.
Conclusions.
Exactly, conclusions that they couldn't see the full vision that God had for them.
Their own
Their
expectations.
own expectations. And sometimes our own expectations can be a killer of God's dreams for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like God has so many dreams and plans for you, but it's so hard to give it to you when you built preferences around like the world's like
Stipulations.
Like the world has already like from the moment that you're born, the world tries to build you a system in this type of
It's artificial.
nourishment that is artificial that leads you away from God. So when you get back to God, you're so stuck on artificial nutrients that you can't get the fullness of what's real. And God is real,
Yeah. It's limitless.
Yeah, facts, limitless.
That's one thing I've realized about the world's thinking too about time, is they want to put time where we are built for it, which is not the case. When we're supposed to build ourselves around it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, necessarily, time shouldn't really have an effect on us. Living with the God who's outside of time, He's already ordained us for time. We just have to work like necessarily within what He's ordained.
That's right. And that's a good question. What's the other? Okay. Hey, DeJounte. I was wondering, can a person abuse time?
I wouldn't say abuse it, but I would say mismanage it. Like they can mismanage, living crap out of it. Like we've seen, I can show you a perfect example of mismanaging time. So anybody who's read the story of Saul, which most of us have, we got because it's famous because of David. Saul mismanages his time. Well, I want you to see this. David was God's chosen king, but Saul was the first appointed king. So when it comes to, like David was God's chosen king, but God didn't choose Saul, but Saul was chosen for that role. So instead of him understanding that I've been given this opportunity, whether God chose me to do this, whatever the fact is, I've been given this opportunity. I've been given this shot to be something that people need, something that God can use. But he was so caught up in his own, image and, his own ideas for what himself and how he really didn't want to do it in the first place that he totally mismanaged opportunities. So I feel like sometimes we can mismanage opportunities that God has sent us to elevate us because, it may not be what we thought it would be or it may not be what we want it to look like. And I see that a lot in Christianity and just in the world today. It's like we'll get opportunity to be somewhere that we should be and that we can be and that we should, appreciate, but we don't. And then that opportunity could set us up for a way bigger and better opportunity, but we missed out on the setup. So therefore, we suck where we at.
Yeah. No, that's a good reply. I was wondering, um, in the life of a believer
Mm-hmm.
and those who don't believe that, as we use the saying, especially Christians, oh, we're going to wait on God's timing and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. A lot of individuals have faced people faced from others that, again, an expectation. I'm waiting for God's timing. However, I'm expecting you to do it within X amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's again given expectation that will God meet those requirements or will he not?
So are you trying to say that, like, when somebody says they're waiting on God's timing and they're continuing to sit, is He going to allow them to
Correct.
have the time
Yeah.
to finish it? That's a good question. So let's. That's a kind of a two parts. Let me answer the first part.
Okay.
So the first part is, when someone says they're waiting on God's timing, are you waiting on God's timing or are you waiting on the courage to start? Because the moment you get the vision of the idea, and the moment that you get the word from God to do it, that's when you start. Most people are waiting for things to just, I
Come
don't know,
together.
just come off the head. I don't know. They just be waiting to just the money to just drop in the like in the bucket. I don't know. So the moment that you get that word, the moment you get that okay from God, that's when you start. Most people are waiting on some weird sign. Like, I don't know. Like, I got this word. I don't really know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm still waiting. What are you waiting on? He tells you. Like, you got that word. Like, you got that confirmation. Where are you waiting to start? So I feel like most of our, I feel like most of that question deals with, do they, like, have they truly interpreted the actual confirmation that God gave them, or are they still waiting to choose to walk in the confirmation that they can understand? Because God can confirm you, but if you don't see it, you'll still wait thinking He ain't said nothing. And that's where I see many Christians today is like they're stuck in the place of God's told them to do it, but they're still waiting on that audible voice that they say that they can hear that says, I want you to do it now. When He's giving you so many signs, when He's giving you like so many confirmations,
And
but you want it
trials
the
too.
way that you want it.
Correct. And trials as well.
Mm-hmm.
People can view trials in times of trials. I've realized that the wisest approach is to view it as a lesson and not victimize ourselves upon it.
And then to answer your second part in terms of like, will God bless that? Of course, because God wants His will to be done. But one thing I will say is sometimes you can miss an opportunity that way. And the time to take full exposure and leisure has passed and given it to someone else. We've seen that with Saul. That kingdom was Saul's. It was given to David because of Saul's mismanagement. So mismanagement can also come from you not taking full advantage, and also you messing up in the promise. So that's two parts of waste. So that's two types of wasting time, to where you don't take advantage because you're still waiting, or you're in it and you're misusing what's there. So yeah, I mean, God will always try to make a way for you to not only fulfill your purpose, but also fulfill the vision that He has over your life that can help not only you but His kingdom and the families and the people that you're connected to and you're not connected to. So I would say that in all, He'll give grace, but it's more so what amount are you looking to receive? Because if you want the maximum amount, I would say start when you get it, and you're still capable of getting the maximum amount, but you got to think how much. Oops, my bad. How much more are you capable of getting if you would have started when you told you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about, like, I mean, back to Israel. They waited 40 years, and to establish something that God told them to do in a week. How much more do you think they would have gotten to establish, or how much more authority do you think they would have over that place if they would have went when God told them to?
That's very, very in depth, in that we shouldn't take it for granted on those revelations, visions, the instructions.
Facts.
That's that's well, that's all I have to. Just tap it. Yeah, there it's back. And oh, that's good. It's a good response. Next question I have is we already talked about how does God view time? How does a believer view time? How do those around us who hasn't viewed time view it? And how the last question
I
is
was one of our church members in the back. I just waved. They came in accidentally, just so y'all know.
okay, so those are the 3.
Mhm.
And then what other perspective we get? How can we show them that that time is a blessing from God?
Only way you could show them honestly is by managing your time. When they see that you're in places of purpose and when they see that elevation in your life skyrocket, then they'll wonder how was that happening? Because people look at people's life and the first thing they wonder is how did they do that? So you have to be in the place where you can show them like this is why, like because I fully took advantage of what God had for me, and you can too. You just have to know where that area is and go. Like don't think, don't guess, just go because God is urgent. Like there's an urgency in when God's telling you something. I think I mentioned this last podcast that there's such an urgency in the word of God that He's spoken over His people because we don't have much time. Like we don't have much time to fulfill what He's put on earth because our life is but a vapor. That's what it says in the Bible. Our life is but a vapor. So since our life is nothing but just a vapor in time, we have to understand that that vapor is going to come and go, and opportunities come and go in that time as well. So if you don't take full advantage, it could be gone like that, and now somebody else got it. Somebody else out there is living somebody like I want you to see it. You on that screen right there, you know, pointing to you. Somebody is living your dream because you didn't take advantage. That life that you want, that promise that you have, that vision you have, somebody's living that. And it's crazy I have to say it like that. I don't mean to be rude, but somebody is literally living that. Literally. And I don't know about you, but that grieved me knowing that somebody else like really living my life. Like I don't know, that shit wrong with me. So I had to get up and just start saying, you know what, God, where you want me? Because I can't have nobody. I don't want to be Saul. I don't want nobody else in my kingdom, even though it was meant for me. I don't know. That couldn't sit right with me. And not even because God was like, you've done your work here. I want you somewhere else. It's because I mismanaged it. Oh no, just take me. Just take me. I ain't gonna lie. Just take me. But I don't know. Another thing that like I was thinking about mentioning was like how. But never mind. I say that. No, go ahead. I'll let you finish. I was gonna mention
Okay,
something.
you're fine. I have one more. I have another question. Is it so? Somebody who is younger, or somebody who is younger
Mm-hmm.
or older, or an elder, or
Mm-hmm.
so forth, will have to envision himself seeing time as a uh, asset or a deterring factor. As an elder, let's start with an elder first.
Okay, so you asking like how does someone who's already lived most of their life view time that they've
Correct.
already spent? I feel like that's all subjective. I feel like it all depends on the person. It depends on how they spent living their time. But there's only two type of situations I've seen. They're either on their deathbed happy or they're either on their deathbed regretting every decision they've made.
That's what I meant. Just generalize it.
Yeah, I mean, those are only two options you can go because Jesus said. I mean, yeah, in the Bible it talks about. Matter of fact, it's in Numbers. Let me go to it. It's in Numbers. Okay, it is Numbers chapter. Wait, not Numbers. I mean, my bad. Ecclesiastics chapter 7 verse 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men. And the living will lay it to his heart. So the first thing he said was, it's better to be in the house of mourning than it is to be in the house of feasting. So life is only put into perspective when you're around what reality. Like always, like eating, having a good time, being a place of pleasure. That's not real. Those are parts of life, but that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is you're going to be in that box one day, 6 feet. That's the truth. And when you're in that box 6 feet, the only thing that you're going to remember before you die is, did I live the life that God gave me, or did I live the life that I wanted? So when everybody dies, or when you die, you should always want to be content with where you are. Like you should always want to be in the place of, you know what, I fulfilled everything I was supposed to do. I may not have lived the best life according to everybody else, but I'm happy with the life that I lived because I know my life served a purpose. So I feel like if they're in that perspective, then time was great. But if they're in the opposite of that, time for them could have been hell.
Correct. And I've seen that. I've seen that in just people how they conduct themselves throughout the military, work ethic. Um, it's it's a common thing in this world. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing.
Now, here's a I'm gonna sidetrack this for a little bit. Uh, I do listen to just to see the trends of not the trends like underground music, and one artist. He's around my age group.
But you're not that old. You're like 20.
I'm 26.
Yeah, 26.
No, I'm just telling. There's the ones that were coming up at my age, and now they're 30s. They're in the 30s now.
Low key, not to sidetrack you, but bro, I get called Unc so much. I'm only 20. Like I'm literally only 20, and I get called Unc crazy.
Well, before it's relevant, we're still on this topic. What do they call me here?
Oh yeah, he get called Grandpa Steve. I'm not gonna lie. I even call him Grandpa Steve. I kid you not. On my phone, his name is literally Grandpa Steve. But it's not because his age. If you sat with this man, his mannerism is as an old man. He has a record player with records in his house that he plays. He got stuff from the 1950s. I'm like, you're definitely a grandfather. I'm just being honest. But hey, I guess that's just my reparations for calling him grandpa. I guess I'm up.
Anyways, so from listening to music today with Kristen can vouch for this. Of course, we're going to keep it PG-13 here. One of the lyrics said, of course, you guys can fill in the word, but said, I'm going to mess up my life. And I actually thought about that. And the artist's name is Joji, so if you guys want to listen to it, you guys can listen to it yourself.
I'm not endorsing. I'm just saying. Man listened to the song, and he said, you know?
Yep. Anyways, well, I got some light out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the title of the song was Yeah, Right. And from that, I said, was this a satirical way of viewing, again, time? But again, you got to see every aspect and every perspective when it comes to time like that. When he was writing it, it didn't make sense. I said I can agree with he's speaking from the bottom of his heart. Usually, I like artists that can actually vent their ways or so forth because they're being honest and truthful. Mm-hmm. And they despise. I know where their heart is at. They desire God, love, righteousness, and all things that is pure. We'll just say that. We'll just end it as that. And I said, wait a second. So he said, I'm going to mess up my life. Of course, not verbatim, but that's something that I. But anyways, it made me think about it. But there's some reality in that because that's what we tend to do when we give ourselves that expectation, or somebody has that expectation for us, and so forth. Yeah. Brings forth that kind of mentality, mindset, and it's sad to see the world actually put themselves in that box. Again, it's by our own actions and choice. Now, if you were to, as you know, DeJounte knows here that I like to use words and find the paradox, the opposite side of the spectrum. So in that sense is that, so God gets the glory. So So in that title of the song was I'm going to mess up my life. Instead of that, it'll be God rejuvenated or gave me joy in my life. So now you switch the I to him.
Facts. And he's always the answer. You know,
Mhm.
like when it comes to life, he is the source of it. So he can only give it meaning and purpose because he's the one who created it. You know, I think that's part of the problem why we mess up our life because we think that we could give it meaning and purpose, but you can't give something purpose you can create. Like that vision that you have in your mind has purpose because in your mind you created it, right? But that same process goes with God. That has a purpose. That you have a purpose because He created you. It's hard for the for the creation to give itself a purpose because it doesn't know why it was created.
That's great. Now speaking, I always have questions in this.
Mhm.
The next one would be, what do you see? I already explained my part on it. So that was Steven's rant. Now, what do you see in the social norm, the social culture? How do they view time from your perspective?
Honestly, they disregard it. I mean, for people who know they're going to die, they act like they're not. Like, I mean, for people who know that they're going to die, they act like it's just meaningless. Like their life just means nothing. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And I think that's, and I don't think it's because they're just that far gone. But I don't think they've never been taught that their life has a purpose. Like from the moment I was young, my mom told me my life had a purpose. Everything that you do in life has some effect, and that you were put here to be better and do better. So I've always viewed life in a perspective of if I'm not here adding something, then I shouldn't be here at all. Well, many people in life they've never had parents to guide them in that direction. So for them, life is just a world of pleasure. I go here. If this ain't making me feel good, I go here. This ain't making me feel good, I go here. You're looking for short term satisfaction. But with purpose, that's a there are moments of pain, but it's long term satisfaction. It's long term. Like it's not instant, it's delayed, or what they would call delayed gratification. So when you've been taught about delayed gratification and understanding everything's not instant, you can find the joy in life because you start to look at things with a more broader perspective. Well, yeah, maybe this isn't serving a pleasure in me, but it's building the king in me. And I don't think many people are building the king in them. They're building the little boy or the little girl. Like it gets to the point where you gotta tell yourself that I'm no longer that little girl. I can still keep the imagination and the hopefulness and the vision of that little boy or little girl, but I'm no longer him. I gotta start building
Correct.
the king in me. And building the king isn't about instant gratification, it's about character.
Service too.
Like we've seen that David had character. Like the things that David went through, it wasn't always the greatest moments, but it built the king in him. That king that we, so often praise and so often that we give our honor to, that had to be built. That wasn't overnight.
And it was by grit.
Yeah, like that had to be built. That wasn't overnight. So yeah, that's what I think Tom in the social norm is.
Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted that perspective. Now, can we be free from time?
Can we be free from time? That's a good question because it's like even before the world was, um, even before the world fell, or like even before we fell in the world, there was always the concept of time. But since we were eternal, it didn't have any effect because you got to think inside of space and matter, you need time.
Mm-hmm.
So because of space, because we live in space and matter, time was a factor, but it necessarily was to our benefit because we had so much of it. We was eternal. But even though we still are eternal and we live under the effects of sin, which is death, you know, once we die, we'll be free from it. But while we're in it in this body, since it's still confined to the time of sin, we wouldn't be free from it till we die.
Mm-hmm.
But eternally speaking, of course, we're going to live forever.
The mindset is there.
Yeah, the mindset is there, but the state of the body is still, it's still still in the past.
It is.
So that's what I would say with that. But don't be discouraged by it. Understand that even though we live for a short moment, there's still so much you can do. Look how much Jesus did in 3 years. If Jesus can do what he did in three, I think living 60, 70 years, 80 years if we get that lucky, or even if you live 25.
25.
There's so much you can do. So don't let that fear of death, you know,
That's right.
fear of death kill your joy. One thing I will say is, in my perspective, one of the things that always keep me going is the fact that I never wanted to be on my deathbed, and like I'm not afraid of death. This is what I'm afraid of. I was never afraid of death. I was more so afraid of dying, going to God, and knowing that I didn't completely have. That scared me more than anything, because death is up fine. We all have to die, but I can't choose that. I can choose whether or not I fulfill everything I wanted to do and everything that God wanted me to do. And if I can't fulfill those things, then it was like, it's more so, why did He send me? He had so much faith to, He has so much love and so much joy and so much purpose for me that He created when He created me, that He sent me here to fulfill it, and I didn't do it. And yet He still accepted me. That would make me feel a certain type of way. Not saying that my works get me to heaven, but it's the fact of knowing that He has so much faith in me to do it, and I didn't do it. It would kind of hurt. It's like you failing a father. It, like that would kind of hurt a little bit. So because I always think about that, I always keep myself in that perspective of, especially when I get off track, understand that you have a time, you have a mission, and it's supposed to be done in a timely manner, and you don't want to disappoint. And that also comes from how I was raised, like being raised by my parents, especially by a single mother. They, she instilled a lot of just, not want to say perfection, but more so getting the job done. Like, if there's nothing else you do, be sure that you got it done.
The mission,
Yeah.
mission oriented.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And one thing too, I'll send to Creston.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of off topics here, but
yeah, I mean, it's a podcast. Feel me? Like, if you watching, you going through this journey with us. Like, this is only episode 2. Like, go through the journey with us. Like, you gonna see us elevate. Like, we started as little pawns, but I ain't gonna say a pawn because I'm king. But we started as young kings. You're gonna see us really mature into the king we're supposed to be. No
yes. Doubt. All right. So, Creston and I was talking about this actually a couple nights ago, on the fact that God has given us the soul that's going to carry on. That's not bound by time.
Yeah, it's interdimensional.
Yeah, but the fact that this also, I get a lot of creativity from, as you know, you enter where I live, and obviously there's always music, great lyrics, ballads, folk music, and so forth. A lot of words. So if you want to get the master your vocabulary, just enter that house for one day, and you come out with a dictionary.
Yeah, facts.
Anyways, so one of them, a great illustration, is that an artist said that since you can be the strongest, you can be the wisest, or you can be the richest person. The fact that this earth, this planet, so forth, whatever that we're living on this ground, the elements that we're made from can also hurt us, which is surprising. And many people don't realize that it doesn't take anything. As you know, time is what kills the body, but not the soul. Do you have anything to add on that?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
that was just the inspiration that came out
of
the blue.
Okay. I mean, no, I got none of that. It seems pretty cool to me. Like, just knowing that, like, even though that, like,
but yet
the elements of this world can kill us, it still can't kill the soul.
That's right.
We still get to carry on. We still get to, explore and learn and live more after this, even though that the things in the world are trying to kill us. I get it.
Another, just to drift off on that, because you already know, I talk a lot about, and you have definitely enlightened me about the soul that's never oppressed, even by the elements of this world.
Hashtag never oppressed. That's where that quote come from. If you ever wonder why we always put hashtag never oppressed, because baby, I'm never oppressed. Like, I'm never oppressed. Like you cannot feel like you're in like some type of superiority over me. You ain't God. So it's like at that point I'm never oppressed. I ain't gonna lie. I learned that from Daniel. So shout out, Daniel in the Bible. He lived his life never oppressed. Like
And as a captive.
think about this. I don't want to talk about this too much because this is gonna be one of my favorite episodes. But I will say this: it was so hopeful to see and heartwarming to see how even in a place of captivity, Daniel still had a mindset that he was free, and that's true. Like that's the true meaning of never oppressed. Never allow people to captivate you and feel like they can put you in a box. The only person that can limit you is God, and God never wants to limit you because limiting you limits Him because He wants to do so much through you to where things can be limitless. So He would never put a cap on you. But man wants to put a cap on you because they can't think beyond their own limitations. So they don't want you exceeding what they can do. But you can never exceed God because He came from Him. So His thing is God's the limit, and I'm the limit. You'll never reach me. So hey, keep going. So it's like that's the whole meaning of never oppress. Never allow people, things, places, governments, of powers, authority ever have any rule over your life. The only person that has rule and dictatorship over my life is the Lord God, Jesus Christ.
And
You
he's
not
fair.
them. I'm sorry. Like
That's so true.
you're cooked. I'm sorry, you're cooked, bro.
And as God has demonstrated His
Mm-hmm.
love toward us,
Mm-hmm.
there is no way whatsoever that He's going to limit us. Also, I want to mention too the reason why Chris and I was talking about this topic is that many individuals have low self-esteem with their outward not character, their outward appearance, but they don't focus too much on their character, which is based off the soul and their inner. That's what God looks at
I think
entirely.
that if they built their character more, they'll be more confident because it's hard to be unconfident when you know that there's something in you to be confident about. Like when I felt like when I lacked confidence, it's because I didn't know what I had inside. Like I didn't know the value I possessed. Once I understood the value I possessed, it was hard for me to walk into places and not hold myself to a high standard among people who also hold themselves to a high standard because value recognized value. I understood that they were valuable, but also knew I was valuable. So I feel like when people walk in the rooms and they feel confidence because they don't know the value that they possess. And if they knew the value that they possess, they will understand that they're like this with those people in that room. They don't have to walk into a room and ever feel like they've been on the back burner when God's like, no, I brought you here for a reason. Because I want people to see that same value. So that's how I feel about it.
So here's the paradox. Thank you for mentioning that. That I'm going to add on top of that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the term I use personally when somebody is making a blank statement without there's no truth that actually defends it, and they don't know what that means entirely because they have not um, brought themselves under the submission of the truth, which is the whimpering fool, which is why I've mentioned there's so many fools out there that never put themselves under the submission of the truth. Speaking on that point, in a scenario where, like you said, you come into a room,
Mm-hmm.
either you coming as not abrasive, but you personally have made that choice to be aligned with God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, He lives within us. And the fact that I want to mention is that the superiority, as they claim to see people that can't be moved, is a surprise to this world because this world is ever changing. We talked about this, and I want to bring it up is that um, they would call us never changing individuals um, typical, odd, rare, strange, yet they are changing just like this, and their mindset is considered neurotypical normal, and they want to view you as normal. Let me ask you this question from carrying on from that. What is your view of normal, and should a believer, saint, be normal, viewed
When
as
you look at
normal?
normal, it's basically normal has to do with a common culture. So for me to say something is normal, there has to be a culture put around it. So if there's a culture put around one thing, then I'm going to consider it a norm, right?
Hmm.
So what I think, normal is basically depending upon the culture you live in. It's like for us, right?
Hmm.
Going to church, following God among people that live that same way, that's considered normal. But against people who live contrary, that's considered to be absurd. Like they can imagine getting up at 9 a.m., getting dressed, brushing their teeth, and going to church to sit there and listen to somebody else talk. Couldn't imagine it. So for them, that's not norm. So basically, I would say it depends on culture and then your perspective in that culture.
Okay.
And do you live in it or do you live outside of it? That's how I would view it.
Nice.
So when people tell me I'm not normal, I would say, yeah, to you. Like to your perspective, I'm not. And I don't want to be because I don't live under that culture.
That's right.
Me and you got two different type of culture. So because to me, you not normal. But that's cool. We both weird. We hey, y'all know the TikTok, and we both ain't. You feel me? y'all know the TikTok. Y'all know the TikTok. Guess we both not for real. That's besides the point.
That's what I wanted to mention. It was the gaslighting from these people is real. Tell me about it. Want to expand on that?
I mean, I'm a gaslighter too, so hey, I can't say too much. I'm a gaslighter sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. Let my mama tell it I'm the biggest gaslighter in the world. Let my mom tell it I'm the biggest gaslighter, liar. I'm just words. No, I'm playing. I love you, mom. But
That's a
I
good
don't know.
point.
But as we get to the end, man, what is the special question
Yep.
of the day? That's if y'all
Oh,
seen the
yes.
last episode. That is what we do at the end. He has a special question where something that you know, something that's just always on his heart. And also, I want to start doing this little thing where if you guys remember the episode of the special question when it turns into a topic, there will be a giveaway. So if you can remember and you comment, that was from episode such and such and whatever, there will be a giveaway and there will be a special prize. So stay tuned. But
Okay.
you know,
I had this in my mind because it's very important when it comes to belief, believing in an individual.
mm-hmm.
Speaking on that point, the special question would be: can you love someone and not believe in them?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. See, love is an action. Belief, believing is understanding. So if I was believing in you, I have to understand. Love, I don't have to understand you. I just have to act as God would towards you because God is love. So I just have to be gentle, kind, be willing to sacrifice, be willing to give, be willing to be patient, be willing to be gentle. I have to be willing to do all of these things. That's love. I ain't got to do that to believe in you. I could love you so much, but still think that the vision that you gave, that the vision that you have for yourself, you can't do. Because I just don't see it in you. Love doesn't require vision, it requires effort. So I think that when people think that love is this feeling, and because they don't believe in me, they don't love me, that's wrong. Judas loved Jesus very much. That's the reason why he followed him. But when it came time to believe in him, he couldn't. Because he couldn't understand how he was God. That didn't take love, that took understanding. Like if I'm teaching you something, in order for you to believe what I'm teaching was right, let's say it was math,
Mm-hmm.
you would have to see the way I operate those problems or the way I dissect them, understand what I'm doing to do it again. That's believing. So when we're talking about believing in someone, that doesn't take love. That takes you understanding what's inside
Wow.
of them in order to even see it. But that doesn't take love because you could not believe in them and still be willing to be there for them, be willing to listen to every problem. Like that's the difference between support and belief. Like Judas supported Jesus, but he didn't believe him. Yeah, I'm gonna support your mission, but I don't believe you, God. I don't believe that you're a savior. I can't believe that. But I'll support you. Support is the action of helping. Belief is understanding. So if I cannot understand what that person is doing, then I won't believe it. Neither will I believe in them. So, in my from personal opinion, from what I've learned about love and what God has taught me, I don't think that you have to love someone in order to believe. I think that belief and love is separate because one has to do with knowing and the other one has to do with doing.
Two separate. Okay. Well, that was very clear. Thank you.
No problem.
This was a great episode.
Thanks. It was a great episode. So as we end this episode, we just want to say thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell a friend who's going to tell a friend who tell a friend. You feel me? So as we end this, we want to say we love you and we're out.